Hello and welcome back to the H&S podcast. H&S, Henry and Sean. I am the latter. The former, would you say hello, please?
Hey everyone, what a beautiful Wednesday it is.
It's a great day, isn't it? It's a fantastic day. The weekend was good too, so happy long weekend to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was quite a weekend of footy as well.
Exactly. Look at you
So
learning
it
segues.
was quite a weekend of footy. But I mean, today is a beautiful day. Just before we talk about the footy of the weekend, it's a beautiful day because Parramatta's probably in talks with Lomax at the moment, and I'm very excited about that prospect of having a back with his calibre of skill and talent.
It's going to be interesting to see how he leverages the rumours around him signing with Para to get the Roosters to pay him more money. It's going to be very curious to see what his contract ends up as.
Yeah, that's Para. I know Para would be one that's going to pay overs, probably just around the same mark as Dragons for a winger, about 800, and then Roosters are going to swoop in, give him 600, tell him that it's about the culture and being at the Roosters, you always take lower. And
winning club that has done nothing in the last year.
And then Nicky's going to come back with some brown bags. So
100%. But it's interesting. If he goes to Para, I would play him on the wing, and he doesn't want to play on the wing, so I don't see how the sort of relationship's going to work out for them. Would you play him at centre?
I'd play him centre. I think we're lacking that depth or that skill in the centre role. I mean, Bailey Simonson coming back this week, and Bailey Simonson did a great job last season, towards the end of the last season, when he was actually put in that position. And I can see Bailey Simonson really owning that. But to have Lomax come in for that depth is better. And I would even say interchanging Bailey Simonson and Lomax, and I would even get rid of Sivo. I'm a big Sivo fan for the past couple of years, but his effort areas in the last 2 seasons, I'd say, have really plummeted, and you can see it with our return from fifth and last kicks. How he returns the ball and just his defensive efforts, with especially the suspensions the last couple of years, or the last 2 seasons especially. I think he's had maybe 3 or 4 suspensions now with the way he's come into those tackles. So
it doesn't, like, Sivo used to add things that other wingers, or it was rare for other wingers to be able to add to the team, whereas nowadays you have a lot of good yardage wingers with a powerful carry. You have a lot of fast wingers, and Sivo has stopped adding those things to your team. So it's a bit like, he can stay, like, he's a fine first grade winger, but the contract is probably a bit bloated at the moment. And like, another club in maybe rugby union would probably pay him more money to play union. And at the end of the day, it's probably a better decision for him financially, and a better decision for you guys to not compete with that sort of stuff when his contract is up, and just let him go. Because he's stopped doing the special things that got Combat chanting Sivo 2-3 years ago.
No, exactly. I mean, that's really the Lomax news that I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit. I hope we get some good news. Power fans are hoping for it. We need some backs. I don't want to keep signing bloody forwards. We've got great depth in the forward line. I think, if anything, probably the strongest depth, or not the strongest depth, but one of the best depths in all the teams when it comes to forwards, in my eyes at least.
Probably bested by the Raiders only, I think.
Yeah,
I can't think of too many other clubs with more depth than you guys. Than you two in terms of the forwards.
Exactly. I mean, you're looking at players like Remu Greg, who hasn't even played this season. I think he's just coming off an injury. Luca Moretti, who's a junior, but he's coming out real strong. Then you got Ogden. Who else is there? That Bulldogs player. I always forget his name, and I hated the fact that BA does not play him at all.
Not Waddell, the other one. Davey?
Sorry?
Is it Davey?
No, he retired. Medical retirement. Far out. I can't. Matt Dury. That's it.
Oh,
I think
Dury.
that's his
Davey
name.
Dury,
Yes,
back
Dury.
rows. Yeah, same.
Like Dury should be playing first grade, and if I was him, I would be really trying to get to another team. I think a team that would benefit right now with someone like him would be the Knights. Someone who has great effort and who'd come off the bench really well. He's not a starting forward, I don't think, but coming off the bench when he did come off come on the bench or come off the bench for Para on that second half or first half stint and second half stints, he would really be impactful.
Yeah, you'd be watching him more than I do, so I'll have to take your word for it. I don't remember too much of him.
Yeah,
Now,
I just think he's wasted in cup, and I think he'll be definitely a first grader if he had the chance. And he's given a couple of games, but he's behind your RCG and your Polo.
Yeah, and actually speaking of cup, I went to a game last week. Last
how's that?
Weekend. That was pretty good.
Was that the game that you said that was 98-0?
No, that was the women's comp.
Okay,
it was a 60-minute game. So I went to New South Wales Cup, Henson Park, Jets versus the Raiders. Obviously, Brock Shepherd is the head coach for the fifth and last for the Raiders, and he's also co-host for the fifth and last NRL podcast, which I've been listening to for probably a decade now. So that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, the game ended in a draw, and the Raiders sort of blew it. They were right in front with like a minute to go, 10 meters out, and they don't slot a field goal. And if you don't know, there's no extra time in New South Wales Cup anymore. So, or maybe there never was, but there's no extra time in New South Wales Cup. So it ended in a draw, which was whatever. But it was a good day out. They got almost 9,000 people there. I know it was a long weekend, but that just goes to show, like, a suburban ground with New South Wales Cup games, it's rocking. Like, it's a fun day out. The kids get on the ground, or the adults as well get on the ground before the game. Training. So they warm up before the game. At halftime, the members of the public are allowed onto the actual field, and then at full time, everyone jumps on the ground as well. And the players will stick around and hang out with the crowd on the ground. It's pretty sick. So I think that's the angle Leichhardt and other suburban grounds like Brookvale need to take, and just go, you know what, we're going to be pilgrimages for suburban footy. It's going to be a day out, fun with the family, cost effective, so not as expensive as going to the regular footy. Really sort of drive that, and then try to get a membership base as well, and have some fun and just G it up. And if you're a ground that's not near a leagues club or a nice hotel for people to go to watch the rest of the games afterwards, even consider doing like a outdoor theatre or something. The game plays at 3 to 5 o'clock. At 5:30, the sun's going down earlier nowadays, so you can do like an outdoor theatre, plonk the footy on that, or like whatever. I don't know, but I think there's a lot of room for growth in that area for people, and people who just say, NRL upgrade suburban grounds, like, you're not thinking about it in a holistic sort of way. And there's so much we can do, and it's so fun, and it's so rewarding. Like, you might as well stop just being tunnel visioned with first grade. But that's my suburban grounds rant. Sorry, I've been going on for a while.
No, I think I agree with you there. But I mean, I wasn't there. You were, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that puts me in a position to talk about it more, right? Like, all these people saying, suburban grounds, this, that, the other. It's like, mate, you can have it at cup level. Like, I think it was, I tweeted it. It was like 8,900 people were there. Like, it's a decent crowd, especially for a suburban ground. And then New South Wales Cup game. I get it was the long weekend, but shit, man. You can make it work. Stop being so centric around the NRL, and let's make it work. But we'll get into the crux of what we want to talk about this week. How'd you go on your tips, mate?
Not good at all.
What? Sorry, I just logged in.
Anyway. Go for it.
I got 4. That's bullshit. I do ESPN tips as well, and I'm pretty sure I got 5 on those ones. This is a rort.
You only had 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do any better. Didn't you start off 4 out of 4 anyway? So you're telling me the
Not
last
in
4
this
games?
comp, apparently. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's what happened there. So I have the
Wait, our
Cowboys
comp? Are you
here.
talking about our comp?
Yeah, so I got 4 because
Yeah.
I don't have the Broncos. I tipped the Broncos. Um, I think that was the major one. Everything else looks about right.
Your dad's winning, but you're not winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, I didn't do any better. I got 2 this week. A lot of upsets that I didn't think were going to happen, but they did. I mean, you're looking at. Let's just talk about the round as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the Roosters and Panthers. Everyone talks about it. I get it. It's a broken record, but Panthers, you just can't underestimate them. They've got talent that just comes out of the wazoo. You've got Schneider, who's given a second chance, coming out from Raiders, not having too much of an opportunity there. I don't think. Didn't pay too much attention when he was playing there though.
He was good. He was good.
Was he good? Yeah.
People in the know were like, "Why is he not sticking around?" I think him and Fogarty would have been a good combination, and then Jack moving to centre would have been really cool. But whatever.
And what happened around that?
Schneider just went to Super League because they didn't sign him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I don't
But I
watch
mean-
Super League at all, so I don't know.
Yeah.
How they went there.
The same as me. But yeah, Panthers had a day out. I mean, it was great to see them really. I mean, take it over the Roosters. I mean, I would have wanted the Roosters win for my tip, but also just for the sake of Roosters not winning because of James. I think it's it's also a good one. The next one is Rabbits and Bulldogs, and this one was a close one. Bulldogs were just out of reach for this one. It would have been a lot of noise for Rabbits if they did lose this, but 20-16.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like I thought the Dogs played well, especially like last year's Dogs probably get beaten by more this year than in this game. Sorry, but I just these two teams, neither of them showed any improvement on previous weeks, right? It's just that they came up against each other instead of another good club. So it's...
I mean, I would say that's different for Bulldogs. I felt like they looked better this week than they did the previous week, just so slightly. Ever so slightly. But yes, Rabbits to me looked the same. They were just they just came out of the win for this one against the Bulldogs, and it's not unexpected. But for me, I tipped the Bulldogs, thinking they'd be able to take this out, especially with the noise that was going around.
It was a
Rabbits.
a dull affair as well. But Broncos, Cowboys, I think a lot of people were surprised by this. If you look at my tips, I wasn't, but obviously not these tips that I do on the podcast, the actual tips where I change them and do some more depth in them. But I think Cowboys are a bit of fool's gold early season.
Why is that?
Well, they should have creamed the Broncos, right? No Payne Haas. You'd expect the Cowboys forward pack to dominate, but they didn't. And it's like if we go through their draw, right, like who they've played this year, they just beat the Knights by 1 when they should have absolutely pumped them. They flogged the Dolphins, but the Dolphins were playing poorly. And yes, they put a big score on the Dragons, but the Dragons scored 24 points against them and were leading early in the game as well. So I just think with the starts they're having, they can't beat the better teams with those sorts of starts. So let me just make sure. I think they had a strong start against the Broncos as well. Yeah, so Billy Walters in the 2nd minute, Jesse Arthur's in the 12th, Val Holmes then scored for the Cowboys, and then Katoni in the 18th minute hit back. So it's like you can't keep giving up 12-0 leads to good teams. Like, you're going to get pumped. And I think what they need to address their pack. If they're going to keep playing Jason Taumalolo for 20 minutes, it needs to be the middle 20, I think. Or maybe not the middle 20, maybe it's the last 20. But he needs to come off the bench and be an impact instead of starting and playing however long he plays. And if you want to play him longer minutes, then you just bring him off the bench early, right? Instead of his second stint. So I just think there's a bit more they need to work out in how they're going to manage their forwards, because once you change how you manage Taumalolo, that has a big impact on everyone else.
Yeah. I think that was one of the things I was looking at the game and really analysing just how, I guess, impactful their forward pack was. They weren't too bad to begin with, but once the rain really, settled in that first 10 minutes, that's where Reynolds really took over with his kicking game. But just Cowboys didn't have an answer for it, and their forward pack weren't given the impact they needed. And I don't know what it is, but you're right. I feel like Cowboys are Sharks all over again from last season, where they'll do really well and they'll come out from some of these wins and have a good streak going for them, and they'll look like they're going to be a top 4 team, even a team that looks like they'll contend for the premiership. But then once the other teams start kicking into gear, and especially once they start versing those harder teams, you start to really see their true colours. And I feel like that's going to be a Shark moment all over again. I think Sharks are still in that in that same realm as the Cowboys of having perfect streaks against the bottom 8, but once it comes to the top 8, really struggling to get those points.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't go as far as to say they're last year's Cronulla, just because there's Cronulla last year, I thought it was a roster issue. Whereas with the Cowboys, I think they have the players. I think they need to tweak it. Whether they will or not is that's the beauty of footy. We're going to see if they can do that. But at the moment, I think they're not quite hitting what they need to. But I think they can still become a force. It's just going to take some time to sort of work everything out and see, how they sort of. Sorry, I'm also trying to mess with the stream a little bit. To sort of work out how they're going to play to make sure that they're competing with the top teams. But you're right. Like right now, they do seem like they're just going to crumble the little teams and lose to the big teams. So it's a bit.
Exactly. That kind of falls into Seagulls as well, right? Seagulls had a very strong start, and they still look good this season. I think this loss against the Dragons is a big wake-up call. Last week, they were just unfortunate against the Parramatta Eels, I think. But this week was a bigger loss, and it really showed that they need to step up. I think the forward pack of the Seagulls lets them down a bit. They've got a great set of, wingers, and also having Turbo really come in from the back. They've got some great energy there, but their forward pack, I don't know what it is. I think Paseka's really getting into it. I think Alloway is still not where he needs to be to really help Paseka out. And Gerbo's good defensively, but just not enough impact, I think, in the middle when it comes to attack. And you're not getting Gerbo for that, but the Eagles kind of need it if both their 8s and 10s don't really produce enough down the middle.
Yeah, look, for me, this is the game with the shitload of errors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not reading too much into it because ball control is something that can change pretty quickly. Both teams were poor, don't get me wrong, but like with the ball control how it was, I'm not ready to write off their pack just yet. I don't think it's one of the stronger packs in the game, but I don't think it's going to be the reason they don't make the 8 either. I think they can still make the 8 if they sort everything out. I think it was good from the Dragons to win this game. We speak a lot about last year. They would have lost this game last year. They would have did not have the control and let Manly come back in, even though Manly had so many errors too. So I'm not I'm not reading too much into this game. It is what it is. If I was either team, I'd write it off. So if I'm the Dragons, I'm not saying, oh, we won, boys, how good. I'm saying, yeah, we won, but holy shit, we got a lot of work to do. And if I'm Manly, I'm not saying, we lost to one of the wooden spoon favourites. We need to rejig everything. I'd focus on just, getting back into it, doing the basics, getting the ball in our hands, keeping it there, and getting to our kick and all that sort of stuff, the boring shit, and then launching from there and seeing what comes of it. I do think the early season form isn't going to be sustained. I think it's definitely going to be an issue for them maintaining that sort of form, but I'm only saying that because it was so good, right? They look like a top 4 team, which I don't think they're going to be for the entire season. So it is what it is. I'm not too fussed about this game. Not a major game in terms of the form lines of the teams, but obviously 2 points is 2 points, and the Dragons, they're well on their way to avoiding the spoon now, which is crazy to say after not a lot of footy's been played, which is pretty interesting. But a team that is probably going to get the spoon, especially with the injury to Tino, is the Titans, and they went down to the Dolphins, 30-14 at home. It's a bit of a weird one again there with the Dolphins. I thought Dolphins looked really good. There was great play, especially from that Azako and Herbie edge. It was really humming.
For sure. Yeah. It's going to look good.
Yeah, it was really humming, and then... But I don't know what's wrong with the Titans beyond... The whole place just... Not the head coach, but beyond the head coach, it's rotten, and they keep changing, they change the deck chairs around, and it just doesn't work. The same problem.
It's just the players. I think at the end of the day, it's just the players.
But they've changed the players too.
It's not changing the players though. I think it's attitude of the players. Sorry, I wasn't quite detailed with what I'm trying to say, but essentially, I don't think watching the game, right. I only watched half of it, just because of. I just felt like it wasn't that great. It wasn't that entertaining for me. I didn't want to waste too much time watching it, especially if it's not going to be that entertaining. But if I just get the team list up from last week quickly.
Or however quickly you want to do it. But it's like you say, the attitudes of the players. But if you change players and the attitude's still there, I think you need to look beyond the playing group and the game day staff. I think it needs to then look at the suits and the executives and the boards and that sort of thing, like the Tigers have done. They've changed their entire board, got a new CEO or interim. I don't know if they've sorted out a long-term CEO yet, but you've got to. I think Shane Richardson, interim CEO. Yeah, that sounds right. You got to look beyond it, and
I mean, you can't be too critical, right? In regards to the fact that. Sorry, not the board. I still just the players in general. Yeah. Maybe I was being too critical. You've got Jaden Campbell who's just come back, right? Mm. You've got AJ Brimson still working out that centre position. I still feel like that's a silly position for AJ. I think he's got so much talent. If he went to any other team, I mean, he could come to Parramatta if he wanted to. We need someone like him. Put him in a fullback. For any other team. Yeah, any other team would benefit him being their fullback. You're looking at Kieran Foran. I mean, he didn't play fantastic.
Yeah, he didn't have a good game.
So that's why I feel like he's got to put that effort in. Boyd is Boyd. I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact. He just does what he needs to do. And then you've got the rest of their forward pack, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, they're missing Tino and Fafita, which is, I know Fafita's on the bench, but Fafita's coming back from a big injury and Tino's out. It'd be like it's worse than taking Pat Carrigan and Payne Haas out of the Broncos.
For sure. I mean, I wanted to just talk about that, having Fafita come back in, right? I don't think their attack is their issue. To me, Titans' attack isn't their issue.
Oh, no, yeah.
I think their biggest issue is defense, right? Everyone knows that. They've got one of the best attacking team. They're probably one of the best attacking
But
teams
just
easily.
on that, this year they haven't been.
I think it's a bit of a slow start. You can't.
Shit.
I mean, Kev Foran was injured, right? The last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but
am I wrong?
Yeah, Fafita's injured too, but like.
And you had no Jaden Campbell. You got no Fafita.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a bit hard. Like when they're your biggest attacking threats, because Fafita to me is not a defensive player at all. At least what he's shown in the last couple of years, he's one of the biggest deficiencies in his game is his defensive efforts. I think that's where he lacks. And him coming in, yes, it's great for their attack, but if they're leaking more points than they're making, then it's kind of pointless, right? You're going to lose anyway.
Whoa. Hang on. If they don't score more points than the opposition, they lose the game. Is that how... What? No, I got to call Buzz up.
Shawnee. I mean, that's the same as some. I mean, that's an advice that you. That's an advice that you guys should have taken last week.
Wait,
watch
yourself. We're not at that game yet, and we won't get there. I'll just stall, and we will never talk about that game.
12-20 or 20-12.
Yeah, just before that was a good segue, but just before we do that, remember how we were like so excited about the Dolphins in our preseason? Like yeah, bro, they're coming first.
Are they? I haven't even checked the ladder.
Yeah, they're coming first. They got a bye round in there, so like it's a bit whatever.
But you've got Tigers next. That's going to be interesting. Not that the Tigers are pushovers now, but who knows? They versed one of the best teams in the comp last week and beat them. But
Dolphins are smashing it, mate. First on the ladder, good points differential.
They did this last season, though. We can't get too excited, but I agree with you. I don't know. I was excited. I think the first two games,
Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, their week one was something that it was rank, and it turned me off with the Dolphins in that first week. I don't know why. I think it's just Hamaso and that whole fiasco And you raise a great point. I'm excited. I want to see. I think they're finally getting together a good team. And who was it? I think I saw Avarillo play this week as well, right? So Avarillo. Yeah. So Avarillo is a great.
Not a few.
Sorry, Avarillo is great in that position, centre at the moment. I think he's still someone where I can say he can even be a fullback. Just that he's got that speed, he's got that X factor. He's a ball player as well. I think when it comes to overall utility of skills for a fullback role, I think Jake Avarillo actually has more than what Hamaso has.
Yeah, I think
when I say that, because you've got a kicking game of Avarillo. So if you need someone to, come from the back because your halves are pressured from the kicks, passing it straight to Avarillo, he's going to kick it, and he can kick it.
Yeah. And he's got speed, he's got a pass, he's got it all. But you know who else is a centre that can play fullback really well?
Who?
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
And how good was he? You can't deny it. I think not that people were denying in the first place, but I think Webster can't deny it now. The noise is going to be very loud.
Well, Webby's already addressed it, mate. I don't know if you saw the presser, but he's
I didn't.
Talk as much as you want, ask the questions, that's your job. But Charles Nicoll-Klokstad is our fullback and Roger's going to be our centre. So.
That is frustrating. I mean, let's see what happens when Charles
let's see what round 10 looks like. Chance
comes back. Sorry, I don't know why I thought of Charizard while I was trying to say his name.
Say Charizard.
But yes, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I was trying to pronounce his name. But I mean, let's see what happens. We got to give it a go. We can't say otherwise for now. But Roger, the way he just dismantled the Knights, it's what you expected, right? Him being number one at the back there. How much? I think it was 200 run meters, wasn't it? Over 200 run meters.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he had a couple
standard for fullbacks nowadays.
Let me see. I don't think I saw it.
Yeah. I mean, it was an expected result. I think both teams played pretty poorly. I think the Warriors should actually be disappointed that they didn't win by more, especially in that first half. Like, the Knights were woeful, right? Like, it was really, really poor. If we go through the play-by-play early on, you got error Daniel Safidi, error. Oh, Rocco Berry made an error. Penalty from Phoenix Crossland. Penalty from Jacob Safidi. Error from Anari Tuala. Ruck infringement Dylan Lucas. Tyson Frizzell, ruck infringement. It was just one after the other, after the other, after the other for the Knights. And for the Warriors to not only not capitalise on that, but then also let the Knights hit back was I'd be concerned if I was a Warriors fan. It's early season, so you can fix it. But while we're praising some individual efforts, I think they've got a lot to look at. And again, they're missing a lot of players, right? Like that. But I mostly just mean Chance, but and
I mean they lost Metcalf straight away, right?
Say that as well, yeah. And Metcalf is looking at a lengthy
tibia. That's crazy. That's crazy that he broke it in the way he did. It was a very innocuous way of breaking it, right? It didn't look normal.
Yeah, no, the people don't usually break them that way. So,
especially that big tibia, right?
The big strong one. It's a bit of a weird injury, but it happens. And Metcalf is similar to Billy Smith, where if they get an injury mechanism, it's the worst outcome usually, which sucks. But
let's hope he recovers well. But I think this gives an opportunity for Harris Tavita to come in.
Is it Harris Tavita or is it Tamari Martin? Who do you reckon is going to come in?
I would say Harris Tavita.
Yeah, I'd play Harris Tavita too.
Tamara Martin hasn't played this season at all. He hasn't been in the team list. So, although he did play, I'd say, pretty good job. He did a pretty good job last season in it, and I'm surprised that he didn't have the first crack at it over Metcalf. But Metcalf has been doing a great job.
Yeah.
We're
talking like we don't have team lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have team lists and we can check them, but we'll check them. Actually, I'll check it now. I'll check it now to see who's coming in. Tomorrow might be starting fullback. Usually I already know, but tomorrow is starting at 6.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And so you got Harris Tavita coming off at 14?
He's in the reserves, 21.
Oh, wow. He's not even in this week at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, they got Wade Egan at 9, and then
who's their interchange?
So the Warriors are lining up. Chance is at fullback, Rogers at centre, Tamara's at 6. Interchange is Freddie Lussick at 14, Tom Ale at 15, Bunty Afoa, and then Jas Tavanga. I think you could look at switching. Actually, no. I think you leave it like that, just because I'd want to get some reps into Chanel now that he's the next man up for the halves. So you'd want him playing 80 minutes in reserve grade every week. If he's going to be, if you need another half to come in, you don't want them playing 20 minutes, 14 minutes off the bench. So I think that makes sense if they do it that way.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, when you just say it like that, you're right. And I like the fact that they have Freddie in there. Freddie with Egan, I think, is a great combo. It's going to allow Egan to rest up when he needs to. Bring in Lussick there, who's a bit of I'd say he's a bit of an energizer when he comes on, which is great. And then you get back Egan even towards the end of the second half. And Egan, with the way he just ball plays, I think that's where they would really benefit with having those two as interchanges together.
Yeah,
I'd say Freddie Lussick's been playing pretty well.
I think he's playing okay. I don't think he's... So for me, for a reserve grader to play well, it's got to be like, I think this club should go and sign them now based on the back of their performances. I don't think he's quite done that. I think he's been a very good backup number 9.
Yeah, sorry, and that's what I was going to trying to get out. I don't think he's one where a club would snap at him straight away, but for someone to be a backup, I think it's a great backup.
It's a great little backup. But there's another club that has a fantastic backup that doesn't even play. Zach Wolford doesn't get first grade time for the Raiders, who lost to the Sharks 22-36. Horrible.
And Sticky was not happy.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch a lot of this game, I don't think. And if I did, I don't remember it. So
I didn't watch a lot of it as well. It was kind of in and out for me, mainly because actually, I think I watched half of it, and after the Raiders blew their lead, I think that's where I just kind of turned it off. Didn't really watch the rest of it. When I say turn it off, I was just paying attention to my phone or doing something else on the side while watching it, to be honest. I said to myself I'd rewatch it, but I don't think I didn't end up doing that.
Yeah,
but,
I'm just going through our messages in the group chat. There's not too much that happened. Yeah, they were up 18-0 and then got taken over. It was that's what I thought about it. The one team was average and the other team was really shit for 20 minutes, and then Cronulla got 18 up, and then it flipped. It wasn't like it was a grind for the Raiders to come back in. Cronulla were really shit for 20 minutes, and then the Raiders scored. No, it was the other way around. Cronulla was really shit. Raiders went up 18-0, and then Cronulla were good and Raiders were shit, and then they sort of overtook the game.
I wonder whether it's going to be a pattern for Sharks, though. They did this with Warriors week 1 or week 2.
Yeah.
They grinded it out, or not grinded it out. Didn't even have to grind it out. I think just that either Sharks just switched on or the other team just switched off for some reason, right? So either way, I think Sharks, not that they deserve that win, but they did come back from an 18-0 deficit, and Raiders just played so poorly. The effort areas there were just their biggest problem. So it's something they've got to figure out, because I thought Raiders were going to have a stellar season. I still think they're going to have a good season, even though I first thought they weren't even going to hit the top 8. But just their efforts in the last, the first 4 weeks or 3 weeks at least, was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, we're going to change our opinions as we see teams play. Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see what they look like this week, because they're versing Para. But on that note of Para, wow. Imagine having that much possession, having one player off in the bin, and still not scoring. It's how I feel about that.
Not a good week for the podcast teams. Not a good week.
No, it isn't. Para's just you saw me blow up about it. Dylan Brown needs more control. He needs to do more. He wasn't there involved enough. And when he wasn't making the right decisions. He should have kicked when he ran. He should have ran when he kicked in some situations. But more so, I just dislike the fact that he would find himself in a position where he would feel pressured, where he couldn't kick a ball, and we had Gutherson kick it. At least that's what they said in the press conference. At least from what you told me, I didn't see it. I didn't listen to the press conference, but if that's the excuse, then Dylan Brown needs to do a better job in getting himself in a better position to help the team out with those kicks.
Exactly, stand deeper. That's the biggest one. But
it's a pathetic excuse. I dislike it. I think he needs to take control. If he wants to be the player he is, I think he's one of the most overrated halves in the game. At least sixes, in the game, because he just doesn't have anything besides a left foot step.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder though, is he being set up not to?
That's what I'm worried about, right? Is it a BA thing? Is it the way BA's coaching and setting everything up, and the way he's told him the game plan?
Yeah, if your halfback isn't ready to kick, it seems like a preparation issue to me. Like, or he shouldn't be a halfback. Like, and Brown's a great player. Like, I'm not trying to say he's a shit player, but like, why is Gutherson having to be like, damn, just pass the ball to me and I'll try my best?
And that's the other thing, right? If Gutherson needs to just stay out of it if he is doing that, getting in the way.
But
I love
I'll
his
play
effort.
devil's advocate. What's the other option? Give
Yeah.
it to Brown and Brown gets tackled and you have shit field position? Like,
No. What I'm saying is that if that's the excuse, if the excuse is, his excuse was the fact that Brown was out of position. But if he's just bullying Brown out of it so that he can just kick and take control of the game, that's where I'm like,
I
okay,
don't think that was
you
it,
need.
though. I think it was just Dillbags was getting pressured and Gutherson was like, oh shit, he's not an option, just throw it to me. Like, it didn't look like he was overcalling or anything, to me at least.
Yeah. I don't think so as well. I think for me, I was just emotionally distraught after seeing just the efforts. And I think the Blaze Talangi, yes, he's got great prospects. The fact that BA is setting him up for failure, to be honest, is my biggest gripe on it.
Yeah, and it's all because Sanders might go to the Raiders next year. Like, come on.
I thought he was going this year. I'm so confused with that whole situation. Sorry, this is a bit of a tangent on keeping it short at this part.
They got Ethan Strange this year, and Ethan Sanders is open to sign wherever he wants from round 6, but I think he's going to stay at Para this year and then go next year if he does sign at round 6.
But why isn't Sanders put it at 6 or 7 at least, and then have?
I don't know. Like, it might be because he's leaving the club. It's a bit
because
of a weird
Blaze. I don't know Blaze enough. I haven't watched him in the juniors, but isn't Blaze a fullback and a centre?
He's a fullback 5'8".
Fullback.
You had two 5'8s out there. Like, the thing with Blaze though is, I think it's a bit early, and when he played centre, you didn't recognise how defensively lacking he was.
I did. Trust me, he's got big defensive deficiencies.
So some other people who might be listening to the podcast probably didn't notice, but it was because he had Dylan Brown and an experienced second rower on that edge as well. I'm pretty sure he played the same edge as Dylan Brown, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So when you move him out, and then he's not only now playing 6, so he's playing closer in. What did your second row look like? Yeah, you had Kelmer and Sean Lane, which is very different to what Cardi, who's been great guns lately, right? So, I think he got found out a lot, but that's like you said, BA is not setting him up to succeed, right? You should have just thrown Sanders in there at 7, left Dylan Brown at 6, which also allows you to move Blaze Talagi back to centre, where he's a bit more protected, hidden, and all due respect means Morgan Harper's not in the team.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, Bailey Simonson was playing Cup that week, which I find ridiculous that he didn't get picked over Harper. So, anyways, That kind of infuriates me, the fact that we've named him again this week at 6. Great talent Talagi will be, but is it the time for him? I would say after the first 2 weeks that he's got, his first week was great. His second week was all right. He had some great line breaks and he can run the ball. We can see that. But until he fixes up his defensive efforts, because Para's renowned for having defensive issues, I would say. That's a nice way to say it, but we lack
defensive issues, especially.
Yeah, especially the edge, right? So having Blaze, who's a rookie, and also you can see he's struggling in the tackling department, I think that's going to be Raiders' number 1 attack for this week, right? So
yeah, the other option, I just went through your reserves, is you've got RC, but then you've got 2 6s again. But Brendan Hands can actually play 7. I don't know if I told you or if you already know.
Yeah, you did. I already know that. And I know he had experience in it. I wouldn't.
And he actually played 7 in Cup this year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So,
I wouldn't put Brendan over RC. Yeah. I just wanted to quickly put that in. I don't know why DJ isn't in there. Yeah, DJ should be in there.
So I'd love to see DJ at centre. The reason I'd put Brendan at 6 over RC is just for the defensive factor. Like, he's a better tackler, better contact. I don't know how his decision making is, but I think he'd have better contact and be less of a target than RC, just with his experience playing hooker.
Yeah.
So I'd go a very conservative route against the Raiders. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to finish.
No, that's fine.
against the Raiders, who are going to play that very sort of steely, grindy, grimy, grubby sort of game where they just try to bash you up and kick well and chase well. I think for this week at least, the better option would be to move hands into 6, strengthen up that side of your team, and try to sort of withstand what Canberra are going to send down your way.
Yeah, and I think DJ, what you just said there, hands will probably be better defensively for sure. I think RC has similar deficiencies as Blaze when it comes to holding their defensive efforts. Though I think DJ has a little bit more experience there and can hold himself a little bit there in that position. Though I think from last season he still had some issues defending that position, especially against the big boys, which is, I mean, any kind of half is always going to struggle there. But yeah, I think we need some more work there. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the next section.
I think we should speak about the Tigers. I don't know if that's what you were leading to.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go to. I said, I mean, we talked about Para just then, just because they're my team, but Tigers, wow,
good,
defensively, just
Holy shit. Was it like 6 sets on the line that they just kept repelling you? And it wasn't like, it wasn't great attack, but it wasn't like dodgy attack. You know what I mean?
And they had world players as well. What are we? I mean, what a change, right? You don't see that with a team like the Tigers, who, when they are creating errors, when they're down a man, you never see them be so gritty and just really handle themselves.
Yeah, and
it's amazing.
Justin Olam has gone from Craig Bellamy to the Tigers and gotten better.
They're selling. Right. I mean, he was declining. He was going in a decline at the Storm, which is, you normally never see that, right? It's not until a player leaves the Storm do they start declining. So it's amazing to see. I'm quite surprised that Olam is playing the way he is, but I'm glad that he is, because I think he's still got a lot in him, and I'm not a big fan of Olam, but I'm also a big fan of him at the same time. Kind of weird saying that, but yeah. And Aiden Caesar, by the way, he's phenomenal.
What did I say? Yeah. You boring halfbacks who can kick the ball. Sign them.
Oh, Jamal Fogarty, Aiden Caesar.
Chad Townsend even, man. Like, I don't care. If they can kick the ball 50 metres and put it where you want it to, and they have the brain to do it, sign them. They're so valuable. Don't play them off the bench.
Yeah, for sure. The other player I wanted to just really, and I don't know whether this is just because of Para's inability to defend properly, but Stefano Utoikamanu was just phenomenal. He was, I don't know if you watched that game properly, but that guy was just making meters. He was, no one in our defensive line was able to break him. He would just make 2 or 3 extra meters after contact, and he would still be running. He would still be making breaks. He was deadly every time he touched the ball. So that's why I said to you, and I mean, James, I see him in the Blues jersey almost immediately. I think after that game, he's shown me that he should be the number 10.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You probably said it all, didn't you? Like, it's Stefano had a good game. I probably wouldn't say everything you said in terms of the number 10. Bring back Clemmer. You just need somebody who rips into someone when they miss a conversion. Like, that was so sick.
When I saw that, oh my god!
Man, I saw it live, and I'm like, I think it was Clem. I don't know. I need to ask the boys. Like, what just happened?
No, the thing is, right, I think it's just, I laugh at those moments and I love those moments, but I also just, for some reason, there's so much hate with Gutherson, and I've got no idea why. There's so many people that hate him. When you look up online and you look at the comments after that video and just other videos, there's so much hate on him as a player, and I don't see why you'd hate someone like Gutho. He does sometimes talk a little bit where he would approach the ref and ask or whinge about something, but that's what you do as a captain, right?
I think it's a bit, there's a few layers to it. His prior pay packet, it's huge, and I think that obviously will put a different level of expectations on him that sometimes he doesn't meet. And if you get paid $1 million, even if you're Tino, if you're 7 figures, and taking a kick, he might not be 7 figures. I don't know.
He isn't.
People expect you to kick the ball and get it through the posts, right? Like that like. And the other side of it is he arcs up a lot, and it's annoying. Like it's in an annoying way. And the other factor that I think it almost feels entitled when Parramatta complain, not just Clint Gutherson, but a lot of your players when they're complaining. Reed, an ex-player as well, does it a lot. It feels like you guys are whinging and whining, not so much complaining about things that are true. And it's just like every ball, every set, every call, there's a Parramatta player yelling at the ref, and it's like, calm down, like relax. I think that's the biggest key for me in terms of why I find some Parramatta players annoying. It's like, mate, the ref made a call. You clearly did it. Take some ownership and just,
That's interesting. I see it another way. I think I agree with you where Gutherson and Moses do that a lot, especially Moses. He fucking loves putting his arms up. He loves just putting his arms up and complaining, but that's not something that I'm particularly proud of when I'm a Parramatta fan when I see that, and I can see why they get hate. But Gutherson, I think it's just people just hate him even more.
I think there's also like shades of him being different. Like he's got that dance that he hasn't done in a while, and I reckon he hasn't done it in a while just because of the hate he got around it. Right? Like he's a little bit different, a little bit eccentric. It's not the reason I don't like him. In fact, that's one of the reasons I like him. I like that little dance thing he does. I think we need more players. Like, I like the Clemmer, right? I like what Clemmer did. It's a bit different. It's a bit more personality. That's what I like. And I said that when we spoke about Latrell swearing on radio. I was like, yeah, probably shouldn't swear on radio. But at the end of the day, you're interviewing someone post-game after a loss. They should be able to say whatever they want. And if you don't like it, don't interview them. Like, I think players should be allowed to express themselves within reason. And so I don't personally dislike that side of Gutherson, but I think a lot of footy fans do.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. But yeah, that's last week. What about this week?
Yeah, this week's gonna be interesting. Do you want to talk about it, or do you just want to do our tips and then flow?
We can talk about it afterwards. Let's go through the rundown. Yeah. Let's keep it a little bit fast on this one. We've been talking a bit, so. Okay, so we've got Storm versus Broncos. Storm home ground.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I haven't even looked at lineup, so this is definitely going to be a big tip. But yeah, look, I'll go Storm, no pain.
I'm going Storm, the Voodoo.
Yep.
You got Bulldogs home, Roosters, visitors.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Roosters. They're going to really cut their teeth this game.
Roosters bounce back. Knights versus Dragons. This will be interesting, by the way. So Knights home ground.
Knights because I have to.
Dragons.
I'm probably going to say that so many weeks. Sorry to cut you off.
Because they're travelling to the top 8. Okay, Rabbits versus Warriors. Rabbits home ground.
Warriors. Rabbits at home isn't going to be enough.
This one's a difficult one for me, but I'm going Warriors, and just by a bit. That's all I have.
Yeah, that's fine. Seagulls. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Seagulls, Penrith. I'm going Panthers. I think Seagulls just haven't figured things out completely yet.
Panthers, well-oiled machine.
100%. Dolphins, Tigers.
This is a hard game to tip. Wow. Okay. Dolphins home ground.
I'm going Dolphins. They're having a run. Cowboys, Titans.
Shit, this is a hard game to tip as well. Cowboys, it's the smart bet.
Cowboys, Des has a lot of work. And the last one here, we got Raiders, Eels. I'll go first for this one. I am going to tip my boys, and it's a very hard one to say, but Yeah, tipping my boys. Power on the comeback.
Yep. This is a tough one because, sorry, I'm tipping Parramatta. They rise against good teams.
Oh yeah.
Now that's
there we
over.
go.
It's a tough one because both teams are really good comeback teams and good against good teams. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they see each other as good teams, and are they both going to rise and turn it into a hectic game, or like what's going to happen? I don't know. I probably, in hindsight, should have gone the Raiders because they're the home team, and when I can't split teams, I go the home team. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, that game.
I mean, if it was 2020? Yeah, I think it was 2020 or 2019. Raiders at home, I would almost always pick Raiders.
Yep.
I think they're almost undefeated at home for a period of time. Yeah, I don't know what year that was. I mean, we should start throwing in some of those stats so people can relate to what some of the things that we're saying. So, yeah, Raiders back in the days, I would say Raiders at home was almost guaranteed that you put your money on them. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. I think some games that I'm interested in for this week, I think it's the Seagulls versus Panthers game, even though I think Panthers should win this comfortably.
Even if Panthers win, I'm curious to see how the Seagulls play.
Correct. I think this is going to be a big testament to how Seagulls will be for the year, depending on their performance.
Yeah.
If they get blown out by the Panthers, I'm concerned. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, literally all I want to see from the Seagulls is a 90% completion rate and a low missed tackle count rate. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
I think another interesting game I think is going to be Warriors-Rabbitohs. I think Warriors, they've already won a game in Australia, I'm pretty sure, or they've won an away game already this year. I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but traditionally they don't travel well, and it's understandable. But they haven't won an away game. No, they haven't. Okay, so they haven't won in Australia this year, but they almost won in Melbourne. I think it'll be very interesting to see if they can beat South Sydney while Souths are so down. I think being away brings Souths closer to winning, but can the Warriors, beat a team they should be beating away from home?
Yeah, I think this is another game, right? So it's similar to the Seagulls and Panthers, where I think it's going to be a big test for the Rabbits because let's see if they can get back-to-back wins, or are they going to put in a poor performance again. And for the Warriors, I think they need this to really set in stone the rest of their season. In my eyes, at least. I mean, it's still early on. It's calling it too early, but I also think we'll understand where Warriors are at, whether they're actually a top 4 team like they were last season, or are they going to even struggle to be a top 8 team if things don't work out well with them and the Rabbits. Because I think they're in similar positions. Rabbits just have lost more, and Rabbits have a lot of noise going on in the background at the moment. But I would say they're in very similar positions where we just don't know what kind of team we're going to get out.
Yeah, so I don't agree wholeheartedly with that, because I think the background noise you mentioned that the Rabbitohs have is very important to how a team performs. So not having that, to me, is huge. Talent-wise, they're both pretty similarly talented. Warriors probably having a significantly better forward pack, but overall talent, the Souths have some very talented players. So, but yeah, I don't quite see them at a similar level. So I'm a bit different to you in that way. But I do think being away brings them a lot closer together. So the Warriors being away brings them a lot closer together. But the Warriors should still win and win comfortably. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of hit back. I think Munster got named this week, or did he not?
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
so Munster got named this week, which is cool. It'll be interesting to see if he actually plays. And
you got Remus Smith in there. Jerome Hughes back as well, right? So
Powell's not in the team for the Broncos. I think that's a good thing. I think he's a little bit past it now. So that's all.
He's still got his running issues where he's leading with his knee, which is ridiculous for a player at his caliber and his skill, right? So ridiculous that he's still having those issues.
For so long, the NRL should have fixed it by now. Like, spend the shit out of it. It's dangerous.
Yep.
But it is what it is, right? And is there any major news from the week that we need to talk about? I don't really think there's been much.
I was trying to
Like
look at some
there
actually.
was Lomax. There was the Tigers was pretty big news. Galvin's hip drop. He's out for 2 weeks. It was a bad tackle.
And I hate, by the way, I just wanted to say, I hate the fact that Gus is back in that as being, not a traditional hip drop. It was a traditional hip drop. He swung his body. It wasn't in a traditional way where he's looking like I get it that Kalma was looking a different way and he was just trying to put him down, but he clearly he did a hit drop and he could have injured Kalma there.
On Kalma's body.
Yeah.
Bring him down.
Yeah.
For me,
That's
like there's the hit, the spin, all this bullshit. If you put your own body weight as dead weight to bring somebody down, that's dangerous. You should always have control of your body weight in a tackle. That's me. I don't care if you hit. I don't care if you spin. I don't care where you land. I don't care what part of your body lands. No, you shouldn't use dead weight as a way to bring somebody down. That is the opposite of tackle technique. That is the absence of tackle technique. You're not actually tackling. It's very dangerous and can go wrong in a lot of ways. So
for sure,
I just don't like those sorts of tackles.
I think the other big news from the week, I mean, besides the Lomax one, I think it was the Burton kick for the Bulldogs. I think that one's not that's a massive one, but I wanted to just bring that up real quick because I was listening to 100% Footy just on that part because I saw a snippet of it, and I totally agree with Gus and Gal here where the game just looks so unprofessional with this whole situation. It's ridiculous that Burton had to go to those lengths where he had to put the ball down like he did and kick it the way he did.
Yeah. So I think just for everyone who hasn't seen it, Matt Burton was time pressured to kick the ball and there was no footy tee. So because he didn't have a lot of time and needed to kick it quickly, he put it on the ground and kicked it off the grass and almost got it.
Exactly, and that was a great strike. Yeah, it was a really great strike. I mean, NFL teams are probably looking at him after that kick, but that's what I'm saying. Like, listening to Gal and
just for the record, I haven't heard what they've said. So
yeah, so there was some great points. I guess in simple and in short, they said the game just looked unprofessional. Why don't we have better? We get it. We want to make sure that kickers are pressured by time, so you're not wasting too much time. But I also think you shouldn't start that timer until the player has the ball on the kicking tee. I think that to me is the happy medium.
I disagree.
So you think you're thinking that you shouldn't have any time on it?
I disagree because the ball and especially the footy tee is something that the club can delay giving the player to give teams a bigger rest or whatever they need. So I think the timer should be there. I think they need better systems in place to make sure that the footy and the tee is really close by and available to the player.
Yeah, I think that was a point that Gal put out, right? He said not to put it on the ball boy or ball girl.
Yeah.
Whoever's looking after the kicking team, wasn't to really put it on them to say we need to put someone probably with more authority.
Yeah, just do a trainer. Like, put it in a trainer.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Why shouldn't it should have been with a trainer. And I think I think now that you said that might be the happy medium where you have someone who has that responsibility and he's watching that because that's going to be a game changer. So yes, I agree with you there.
So and just to clarify, if you do put it on until they have the tee, then clubs will delay that and give their teams a rest, which is why I disagree with it. I think the fix is the trainer has a tee. You have 2 tees on either side of the sideline for both teams, so 4 tees per team, 8 tees on the sideline total. You'd have them at the 30 metre and the 20 metre or the 35 and the 25, wherever the kickers want it. They'll set it pre-game, they'll leave it there, and the trainer has one in their kit bag because tees are a piece of plastic. Like, they're not that they're expensive to buy if you're a fan, but they're not that expensive to produce and getting it wholesale, right? So just have them everywhere. Like, why not? And then at the end of the game, sign him and give him away. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it plays a
why would you
bigger
be
factor
stingy?
than that, though.
Hey,
Yeah, but it plays a bigger factor than that, though, for each kicker. At least when I was playing, I would have my own kicking tee,
yeah,
and I'd like the coach to give me my kicking tee. Not even if it was the same brand, same kicking tee in general. I felt more comfortable, especially if I had to do
the
this.
grooves that are in your kicking
Yeah,
tee. I get that.
exactly.
At the modern level, they can probably get custom kicking tees, right? Like,
Yeah,
like it's like cricket bats.
you can, but
can
you
get
think about it. Some
three
players
cricket
might
players
have.
20 cricket bats, and they have preferences, but every single one of those cricket bats they'll eventually end up using most of the time. Like, actually, that's a lie. They don't end up using all of them, but they'll use like 4 of them, and they can mold it and shave it and shape it however they want. So if you can do it with a cricket bat, I'm sure you can do it with some plastic. So for me, it's like, would you or because I've also said the trainer also has it, so that would be your golden tee. But if you're in a situation where that tee isn't available, like Burton was, do you want to kick it off the grass or off a random footy tee?
Mm.
Right. I'm not saying the first place he goes for his tee is the sideline one. It's just in case the trainer, like, you have these, safety nets, and you have so just in case the trainer's looking after somebody who's got a broken neck, Matt Burton can just pick this random one up, like, better than the grass.
Exactly. I mean, it's something that I have to figure out. We need to fix that in our game, that's for sure.
To fix, like, it's far out.
It's not. It's ridiculous. But last but not least, the last topic I wanted to bring up, if you didn't listen to 100% or some of the other stuff that was on the news, the last one was the NRL saying that try for Manu should have been a try. So I believe they said the call was incorrect. It was the one with the obstruction with Jared coming from taking out Edwards.
I mean, I prefer black and white rules. Jared took out Edwards, denied Edwards a chance to run over. To avoid Jared, Edwards would have had to change his line. That's an important one. Edwards kept running straight, like he might have initiated contact, but he was still running straight, right? You shouldn't have to run around Jared to get there. That's my take. You shouldn't have to run around a defender to get the attacker, unless it's a support player, but that's a different kettle of fish, right? So in that situation, I think it's on Jared to avoid Dylan Edwards.
Yep. At the end of the day, I agree with you. I want to keep it black and white. I don't want it to be subject to, because once we start doing that, we're just going to open a whole bunch of can of worms that just... I think this is where I agree with... By the way, this is something Gal also agrees with. Keep it black and white. He'll keep the call simple, and teams just need to train their players better.
We run subjective on something for 2 years, and then we go back to... objective, and then we do this, that, the other. Like, we had 2 refs for a while, then they got rid of them, and then last year there were calls to get 2 refs back. I've always been a fan of 2 refs because we missed so much in the ruck. Like, Galvin's hip drop wasn't even called until the player stayed down injured and the bunker had a review of it, and then like a lot of time passed, right? Like, refs miss things. They're human. It's gonna happen. Like, it's tough, man. It's hard to be a ref. They're not gonna see everything with everything they have to look at. So have a second one out there, just to cover bases. Like, it's not... Anyway, that's a different topic. I'm sort of going on a tangent, but...
No, but I think it kind of aligns to what we're trying to get at. Is there are going to be calls that are made, and I think to make it easier for our refs, have things like this where it's black and white, don't make it subjective, and don't come back saying, yes, this was a mistake, that should have been a try, because then you get people in the media who just flame on these calls. I also disagree with
that too. I think explain the rule if there was a mistake, because it helps people understand the rulings, but put more time and effort into it, because Graham Annesley has contradicted himself plenty of times over the last 18 months. And the media is going to complain anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if he comes out and says it's wrong. They're going to complain about something regardless. They're going to be just as outraged no matter what. So I like that they are trying to explain it. They need to be better at explaining it. And also, I think he said it should have been a try, didn't he? So, again, I don't always agree with with what they say, and they have been contradicting themselves in the past. So it's not like, well, they said it, so it's the truth. They can be wrong too. So they need to level up the quality of the explanations as well, and the due diligence that goes behind that. And I don't want to see Graham Annesley being the one doing it. Like, why is he like, I'd much rather see an actual ref explain it to me.
Yeah, you know what? It's quite interesting about these. I want to just talk about a sport outside the NRL who have a bunker situation similar to the NRL, right? So they have a review committee. They actually have a full team. So it's the NFL. Mm-hmm. They have a full team that's in New York who reviews the tape. So let's say a call's made, a try's made, whatever it is, right? They have a team that's consistent, that isn't a different ref, that isn't going to be someone that has a different opinion or something. They have that bunker review that call, and they're the same team. So there's a whole team that looks into it at the same time and makes that decision before sending that out to the on-field ref. So, and I can see that happening. You should be able to do that because the NFL has games that could go and overlap each other, right? They don't have it like the NRL where you have it spaced out. There's an hour break before the next game. In the NFL, they have games going off simultaneously. So it can be done, and it should be done. I mean, to my eyes, I think if you want some more consistency, have one team that looks after it every week for every game.
Exactly. Like you take out that.
Because if that person's going to be subjective with that call,
because it's always the same.
Yeah, if there's going to be a subjective call, that at least that subjective call is going to be the same for every call, right?
Yeah.
Because that person's making that decision.
And there might be user error, but it's always the same, and they can work on it and improve consistently.
It's like exactly, and when you watch and it's a full panel, right? It's a full panel. Yeah. And sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing there. They have someone as well who's the head of the reffing there as well, who actually comes on to commentate, but he will answer the questions that the commentators are asking, so it gives more insight. Yeah. Explains it more depth.
Half the reason people blow up. Like, nobody says anything about calls, and then someone in the commentary box will complain, and then my Twitter feed blows up. It's like the amount of time, like, and they don't know the rules, they don't understand the rules, and they don't get it. Like, with the obstruction as well, I think perspective needs to change. It's like, oh, did he mean to obstruct the player? When I look at an obstruction, I think, did the defender
deviate from their line?
Everything he needed to head over and make that tackle.
Yep.
Was he impeded in any way? That's illegal. And if he was, then it's an obstruction. I don't care if he's going to make it. I don't care I don't care. Just, he had to deviate, and in this situation, the defender has the right of way, and it should, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, it's like that. So I just want to bring up real quick because the other big one was from the previous week. The previous week with Manly, right? It's the same situation where Luka Moretti gets hit by Jake Trbojevic and Tom runs through that gap. A lot of them say, it was milked and Moretti probably would never have gotten there. But if Turbo looked up and saw Moretti in that line, Moretti might have been able to slow him down in some kind of way that would have given more opportunity for... I forgot who was on our wing.
It shouldn't, like you're explaining why it does matter, right? There are ways where you don't make a tackle but still impact the attacker. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter. Like, I don't want the ref making that decision. Was the defender impeded in a way that they shouldn't have been? Yes or no? Bang, done. Is he going to make it? Don't care. Did he initiate contact? Don't care. Did he have to change his line? That's what matters, right? Even if
and that's
like if you when you're doing when they say, oh, the defender makes a decision to make the tackle, that's different to what I'm talking about. Because if someone's running away, if you move away from the ball to initiate a tackle, that's very different to running towards the ball and having Jaruia Hargraves or Jake Trbojevic in front of you.
Yeah. In simple, I'm saying keep have one bunker, have them watch over the whole week for the games, have that same team come back week in, week out,
Make it good
bring more
refs.
consistency.
Like, it needs to be good.
And provide better explanations, because people feel like the bunkers are missing things, and it's true, they do miss some things, and it does, and sometimes the on-field refs don't even bring it up, right? So it gives people even more irritations. But if you have someone who has to answer to the commentators as well whilst the game is live, it puts onus on making sure that the rule maker is there to answer, and also the person who is making the decision is following that same chain of thought.
Yeah, and I think also it could be an opportunity for the NRL, right? Like, maybe if they don't go in the commentary box, maybe the NRL socials put out a video of the video referee going into more detail once the cause, because you know, the call's being made, you can't stop to explain it in depth to people. You want the game to keep going, so make the call, move on. But while the game is playing out now, you record a video, you put it on your socials, and that's a way. It's a business decision for the NRL to grow their reach, grow their influence, and to control the narrative a little bit more. And you know, mainstream media does use social media for information sources. Like, how many times do they say something 30 seconds after NRL Physio tweets it? Sometimes they even credit NRL Physio, right? They'll be like, "Oh, NRL Physio just said," which I think they've been told not to do anymore. But because not because I've heard any inside information, just because I don't hear it as often. And when I hear it, it seems like a mistake. But like, you know, there's so many options where you can explain and communicate with the fans a little bit more. And I think the reason they don't is simply because, well, there's two reasons. The reason they'll say, which is backlash and hate, which there is that, but unfortunately you're working with the public, it's going to happen. And the second reason that they're not going to say is we don't want to be held accountable to things we contradict ourselves on. That's it, right?
Oh, we've got to give them bonus for it. But yeah, I mean, that's going to that's my suggestion of the week, by the way. I think that's what they've got to fix up, and they've got that.
My suggestion of the week is for Newcastle to hold the ball and make some tackles. That'd be great.
We'll see how that goes. I mean, we've gone over an hour now. This week's been great. This week's draw is all right as well. It's not as interesting as the first 2 weeks, but hopefully there's some good games that are produced this week.
Yeah, well,
but until next week.
Until next week, we might record another podcast after this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, shit. I mean, what? No surprise podcast. What are we talking about? But anyway, see you later.
See you later. Bye, everyone.